What's up, Internet? My name's Ori. It is Tuesday, July 29th, day number 22 inside the Big Brother house. Veto results are in. Lauren finally makes a decision, but was it the right one? And we take an early look at who may be leaving this week as the house starts to officially split into sides will need to be chosen this week. Let's talk about that, plus all the intel, drama, and more from yesterday's live feeds. But first, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. We also have a sponsor for today's episode, Factor. No prep, no cooking, just dietitian approved, chef prepared meals delivered to your door, ready to eat in 2 minutes. Pick up your pre-made meals, select from a weekly menu of 34 plus meals and 45 plus add-ons that fit your lifestyle. Get your 50% off and free shipping on your first order using my link in the description down below, pinned comment as well. But on to the live feeds, a little bit of a recap for you. If you haven't been keeping up with all of the stuff going on, Lauren won HOH, nominating Keanu, Kelly, and Will. Keanu, though, wins the power of veto, meaning once again, Lauren has to suffer through making a decision, which, kept her up all night, trying to figure out, even up to the night before, was still 50-50 on whether or not it should be Ashley or Adrian. But even in the morning, Lauren was still undecided. Ashley actually got in there to her quick, one of the first ones in the morning to get to her. And Lauren asked Ashley, she's like, listen, are you for sure going to keep me safe until jury? And Ashley said, of course. And Lauren says, she's like, look, I want to work with you. I want to trust you. But there's a lot of things that I'm hearing, right? Like, Keanu says that like Ashley, is on the bottom and that deal won't even matter if you make it. And Ashley tells her like she doesn't, what he's talking about. Like he'll say anything. And Lauren says, you're like, listen, at the end of the day, I have an idea on what I want to do, but I wanted to double check on that deal with you. Ashley also here says something that to me is a huge red flag. She says, like, do you really want Adrian up in here with Kelly, right? Like, he would never put her up. That would be like me, but she doesn't finish her sentence. She kind of cuts herself off. And then she says, that would be like you and Catherine, right? You know what I mean? Like you have each other, which to me gives me a few things. One, she doesn't trust Lauren, right? If she trusts Lauren, she would tell her who her number one is. She wouldn't cut herself off like that, right? If she really was someone who trusted Lauren. The other thing it says is that she wants to get rid of people who have a number one like Kelly and Adrian, which she just pointed out that Lauren has one with Catherine, though it seems. So to me, like that would be a huge red flag. Overall, though, the conversation from my point of view wasn't really conclusive. Ashley took it as, she was not going up, but Lauren doesn't actually say that in the meeting. Morgan gets a chance to get on in there and kind of, also pushes Adrian, says this is a chance for us to split up a duo. And again, if all these people in the house are pushing one name and they're all saying that the other one should be safe, don't you think they're all probably working together? And then, if they're also pushing the idea that a duo should go and you're potentially in one with Catherine and they also think you're in one with Vince, why would you want to do what they want you to do? Maybe go against that. It's a thing. It's just one of those things where in this house, the more people want you to do something, it probably means you're doing something wrong and maybe you should rethink it. Lauren ends up telling Keanu, like, look, I don't want to do that plan that you came up with where Lauren would say that Keanu and her made a deal pre-veto, that if he won, he would get to pick the noms. She doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want people to think that she can take deals. People already think that, she's too impressionable, so she doesn't want to give that impression. But she says she still doesn't know what she's going to do, and she's feeling sick. Adrian gets on in there, asks Lauren's like, look, is this just because you're scared of the other side? Like, what, like, tell me, like, why are you even waffling? And Lauren she just nods her head like, yeah, I'm scared. Adrian then explains that, like, listen, Mickey had told him that, like, the other side's together, but Mickey's making moves. She's trying to target that other side as well. And I think, this is actually something that maybe it was a mistake because Adrian's pretty much telling her, like, I don't think they would actually put you up. I think they have bigger targets in mind and they wouldn't actually go for you. And I think that almost actually hurts Adrian's case here. I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to make her feel more comfortable with the idea that she doesn't have to fear them. But then that also kind of gives her a little bit more comfort in, oh, well, if there's other targets in front of me, I guess I don't have to worry about them that much. And if I make friends with them, I can then kind of work with them and be in with them a little bit. He actually goes on even more saying about how like he can be a number for her. He could take those shots that she couldn't, right? And he tries to make a push, but it really just doesn't really go well. It seems it's not that it doesn't go well, but Lauren doesn't give him any confirmation either, as well as with the whole Lauren situation or with the Ashley talk. There was just kind of this vibe that Lauren still didn't actually know what she would do. The other thing he says, though, is Mickey has the power and he would flush it out. Again, something that I also think is holding Lauren back here. A lot of people are under the assumption that Mickey does have the power, which he does. And the thing is, they don't know what it does. The other two that they've seen are both vetoes. So I think Lauren has this idea. It's like, well, if I put Ashley up, Mickey might then go ahead and just use that power. And then I got to put somebody else up on the block. And maybe I'm putting Adrian up on the block anyway. So I think, again, that was something that was just kind of all in Lauren's head as she was continuing to try and make this move. And I just don't think it was enough for her to really try and switch things up there. I think this conversation, if anything, hurt Adrian more than it actually helped. Moving on from there, Lauren actually ended up meeting with Mickey, and Mickey, one of the things she says to Mickey, she's like, I should have just backdoored Keanu, because now he's going and saying I made all these deals and stuff to backdoor Ashley, and Mickey pushed for Adrian as the renom, saying that, you know, he's with Keanu. Right. And then they prayed over it right after Lauren was called to the DR. But before she could go down to the DR, Zach does get a chance to head on in there before she went down. He was saying like, yeah, you know, listen, like, I think the girls are going to go for the story if I actually put Adrian or Ashley up on the block. She's like, I think they would believe that. But she's also saying, Ashley's saying that I would be safe until jury. So like, I don't know what to actually do here. Zach says like, yeah, Ashley's already pretty much saying that she'd be safe. And Lauren's like, well, I didn't really say that. And she just kind of has a way of forcing you to say things. Vince ended up joining. And again, she just is like, what should I do? She's asking once again, who should I put up? Both of the guys, they push and say they would prefer that Ashley would be the one to go. But either way, we've got your back, Lauren. So like, you know, don't be afraid of what they're doing. And if you are afraid of what they're doing, we understand it, but we'll have your back either way. We're not going to be mad at you. But whatever you do, I think there are people that are going to be mad at you regardless. Or she says, either way, people are going to be mad at me regardless. But if I don't put up Ashley, maybe they won't turn their back on me. And this was kind of the last things that we saw before the feeds went down, with no real solid answer, just her kind of going back and forth of, should I put up Adrian? Should I put up Ashley? And it did feel like maybe there was a little bit of a lean towards putting up Adrian, even though Zach and Vince were both saying Ashley should go up on the block. Again, feeds went down, and when we came back, Keanu did use the power of veto, taking himself off the block, and Lauren finally made a decision for her renom of Adrian. She nominated Adrian for eviction. I guess Ashley and the other girl's pitch of, you know, being safe till jury worked, but it's a terrible deal, right? Like, I just don't think they would ever even really honor that. Think about it. What is their incentive to honor this deal, right? There's no reason for someone to hold to that because, one, if they boot you before jury, what happens? Nothing. They boot you before jury. You're sitting at home. They're sitting in jury. Nobody in the jury is really mad because they didn't get voted out. So why would they care if you're out? You're not voting on the winner anymore. So you're gone. The other part of it is, all right, well, once jury's over and this deal isn't done, does that mean we're all going after each other? So why should I wait? Right? Like, you kept me safe. I was in danger right now, but now that I'm out of danger, who cares what that deal was? So I think it was really a bad idea from Lauren to kind of prioritize that over just having numbers on her side. But it's the thing, right? Stick with the people who, actually give you the information. Don't go with people who are giving you time frames on deals where this one's good for 2 weeks. You want to work with people that are going to be long-term goals. Zach and Vince both want to go way farther than any of the other girls do, including Ashley. But you know what? She's not even there in those girls' top 5 when they were thinking of it. So I don't know. I think it was a bad deal. Also, this puts the bullet in the bond. Finally, that one is fully done. She already put up Will. Now she puts up a second person from that alliance. The only large alliance she really had in this game was the bond. She has connections, but no actual alliance. So now that's pretty much blown up. This could have just been a complete messier. Like, I can't even believe it's so much messier than Jimmy and Vince's HOHs combined. It's wild to me. Lauren, though, after the nomination ceremony, tells Vince, she's like, you know what? I would have put up Ashley if you told me to. Are you kidding me? They did tell you to do it. They said it all the time that they wanted her gone. You even said that you wanted her gone. It's just a wild view of how those convos were going, that she doesn't think Vince and Zach were telling her to put up Ashley. So it's kind of crazy. They, of course, yes, we're telling her, like, look, it's your choice and we would have your back no matter what. But yes, they did say to do it. So I don't know why she's saying that she didn't do it. And they didn't tell. I'm going on an Ori rant. It's too early for this. How about Will? Will's not doing well with this and his whole fate. Pre-noms, he was also given this vibe that, like, this would be his attitude kind of moving forward, especially if he was put up again on the block. But part of me thought that was maybe just a little bit of a show of him, like, trying to stay off the block. But now that it all seems like it really is him being kind of like done with the game. He doesn't want to be that eternal nom and that eternal pawn that's just put up all summer long, and it just goes over and over. Apparently, he's even telling some people just to send him home on Thursday. It's really disappointing to see, because I really like Will and I think he's a decent guy, but I really hate the idea of people giving up and just rolling over in there. Mickey and Rachel actually ended up taking Will out for a dinner. Well, out in the balcony in the backyard, but still it was kind of nice. Just the three of them just chatting life, just regular chats, nothing really game related too much. And again, it was just a nice thing to do for Will, who's obviously struggling and having a hard time in that house. And look, I get it, right? Like I always say, like sometimes we forget that this place does weird stuff to your head, right? You could be having the greatest plan and you know everything that you need to do when you walk through that door, but as soon as you walk through that doorway, everything just leaves your head and you have no idea what you're doing, and it really just spins with you, especially in a case like Will, who in his bios was even saying that, like, you know what you're signing up for, but now he's the one who's willing to potentially walk away from the whole thing. Speaking of Rachel, though, since we were talking about her taking Will out, one of the smartest things she's doing in this house is really making good bonds with the people on the other side, especially the ones on the bottom, like Kelly and Keanu. She doesn't really care about their games at all, right? Like let's not get those crossed where she's like, oh, I got to protect them, right? It's more of like, hey, these are people that could end up in power, and I'd rather have them on my side than not. She's had a few moments with Keanu where they've definitely butted heads, but in his mind, he views her almost as like this sister-brother kind of relationship. They argue, but they still get along. Kelly and Rachel had a pep talk kind of earlier in the morning, even before the vetoes. They were one of the first people up, just trying to, talk about, how things are going, and Kelly keeping her head up in the game. Also, Rachel pushing the idea that there's this big alliance that neither of them in that are running everything. And again, also pushing Vince. But just in general, it was one of those chats where it was just kind of Rachel being a friend, where she's like, listen, like, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. Like, I don't want you ever to feel, isolated or anything like that. And I believe those are the type of ways that you can really bring someone like that in. You could pitch game moves and scenarios and all this different stuff, and it may work, it may not. But those emotional connections and those emotional bonds that you're able to form with people, those are the ones that not only could sway things later when you really do need to make those game pitches, but just overall, they're the ones that are going to matter later when you need it. Kelly ends up having a chat with Adrian about their whole situation, being on the nomination block together, knowing that both of them, one of them needs to win the blockbuster competition, or they would probably end up going home. And with all this, they also start talking about Rachel and how she was warning Kelly about Zach. The other thing is, Adrian said he's like, I need to go start instigating. And Kelly's like, oh, do you want me to instigate? He's like, I can do it. And he's like, no, I mean, I'm good, right? Like, you do your job, but no, because people don't really trust you, and like people don't really believe what you say. And she's like, exactly. So let me instigate. Like, she was really excited to go instigate. But he's like, no, like, I don't want to do it with any lies because people don't think I'm a liar. So like, I want to do this. Just let me handle it. And then, Kelly, of course, listened, right? Of course not. She went and then did it anyway. Kelly then goes and tells Lauren that, all those girls, they were bullies to you. She then ends up having a conversation with Keanu where he tells him that the girls, they think he was bully. He's a bully. And now he actually later went and cleared that up with Lauren just to make sure she didn't think his pitch about him making a deal and stuff was bullying or anything like that. But it's still a thing. She also Kelly wanted to know how to become better friends with Rachel. Keanu, by the way, thinks, at the end of the day, he could sway Rachel's and Jimmy's votes, which is hilarious because also Rachel was asked about her friendship with Keanu. Morgan said, like, yeah, I've been hearing that you and Keanu are good now. And she's like, shut it down because we are not friends. But again, Rachel, I don't think cares at all about Keanu's game, but she does care about the potential that, hey, maybe he ends up in power, and if I can build that bond, well, now he's not going to be coming after me. Somehow Jimmy's also found himself in a good spot with Keanu too, even though Jimmy does not care about Keanu's game. Vince also started having lots and lots of chats today, which again, people already have seen him doing way too much with way too many people, and they're really starting to push him as somebody who's playing both sides and he's in with everybody, and that you probably shouldn't trust him, that you should look out for him. He ended up actually meeting with Rachel at one point, who really just ended up, she was so done with this conversation. She even rolled her eyes at one point when he looked away. Apparently, though, after this, Rachel then went and told Keanu that she felt like that convo was all Vince just trying to pry for information, which Keanu then told Vince about, being like, yo, bro, Rachel thinks you were just prying for info. Why'd you have to go talk to her about it? Jimmy and Morgan have kind of a revolving door chats with Vince, where Morgan says that she thinks Adrian or Kelly will be the ones to go. Jimmy comes on in. He says Keanu thinks he's got the votes to get Will out. Ava, Vince, and Zach ended up meeting up as well, talking about, the bond. And she's like, 2 of our alliance members are up on the block. That's certainly a choice. Ava says, I guess we're not an alliance, more like a situationship. And Vince says, you know what, we just need to do a little bit of business reconstruction, right? Where you kind of work this around. So one of the good things here that Ava's doing, right, with the blow up of this alliance, she doesn't necessarily want to find herself on either side. She wants to make sure that she's still good with either, just in case, right? Like, Ava's really finding herself in a really good spot in this game. I think she's kind of really getting close to being almost in that perfect middle spot where nobody talks about her. She's not really defined on either side where, people are going to be like, oh, she's with this person or that person. They'll put her up with somebody. She's got connections all over the house. She's got Rachel. She's got Vince now. She's got Zach. She's got Lauren. She's got so many different people that would be in her corner. Of course, Will and Adrian also have connections with Ava as well. So she's just finding herself in a really, really good spot. Adrian, though, he went up to try and do a little bit of instigating, though. He went to talk with Lauren, which the weird thing is, though, at this point, like, she already put you up. There's like not too much that you can instigate and cause drama with by having the conversation with Lauren. There is a potential for a tie vote this week, so she could even have to make another decision. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But overall, it just felt a little bit pointless to try and do the instigating with her. But what Adrian does, he goes to Lauren, he tells her everything that Mickey has been telling him, right? He's already mentioned that Mickey, was going to be taking shots at the other side, but he goes on even further to tell Lauren, like, hey, Mickey's even brought up Vince and Zach's name as well. She's brought up Morgan's name. And he's like, listen, at this point, I'm going after liars, right? Like, I want to go after the people who have been lying and manipulating. And those are my targets. He then goes and asks her about Jimmy. He's like, listen, was Jimmy pushing Ashley to go up the block? And Lauren confirms that is not what he did. So that is another one added on to Adrian's target list. And this actually does lead to Vince and Lauren having a conversation in the backyard, kind of comparing notes on Mickey. And saying like, yeah, like she was even kind of like pitching alliances that potentially would include Adrian. And then she's over here pushing for Adrian to be up on the block. So that's a little bit weird. Vince and Lauren also tells Vince that she had heard about Vince, Zach, and Morgan potentially being in a final three. She doesn't say this information came from Adrian directly, though. So that's kind of a nice little thing. At least she kind of respected Adrian in that, right? And then just overall, Vince and Lauren throughout the day had kind of been going over the votes to potentially get Will out. And they do think it's possible. But again, Zach and Vince would really have to pick a side here and really show their cards, especially against someone like Morgan, who they're working really close with, because Morgan is really pushing for Adrian or Kelly to go. Meanwhile, again, while this was happening to Lauren, Ava ends up coming on over because Lauren and Ava are going to be having a little sleepover up in the HOH. And they end up kind of breaking up the chat, and Lauren and Ava head up to the HOH room. While they're up there, though, Lauren saying like, hey, you know what? Can we still be the Bond girls? And Ava actually says, yeah, she told Lauren, like, we're not the Bond anymore. We're the Broken. But also says, could you imagine if the Bond girls do make it to the final two? So Ava, again, kind of playing along with it a little bit, I think there. You don't ever want to be like, no, I'm not going to the final two with you anymore, and just completely flip, even though they've gone against you. It's one of those things where you forgive but never forget, and you always keep it in the back of your head to potentially make a move later and know that you probably can't trust them too much, but you're going to let them think that they can trust you forever. So that's kind of where I'm thinking Ava's head's at with this. But Lauren tells Ava that all week long, she's been having conversations with everyone in the house. And the only name that did not come up at all was Ava. Maybe that should have been your sign that Ava should have been going on the block. If nobody says somebody's name, maybe that they should go up. I'm just saying. Ava also said this house, because they started talking about, relationships and stuff like that. They brought up the whole idea that, potentially Morgan has a crush on Zach. And Lauren's like, yeah, I've heard that, and I don't want to get in the middle of anything. But Ava said, she's like, I don't know what's going on in this house. I said it's like a swingers resort. They'd be cuddling all over each other. No shade, but that kind of covers everything that was going on. Zach and Ashley were kind of the ones that were up the latest in the night. Zach was up way later than everybody else, even just folding laundry and everything. But it's definitely interesting to see how this house is going to split. Because if we go and take a look at our allegiance chart here, we can kind of start going over some of the votes and kind of take a look at how the house sits at the moment. So again, you got Zach and Vince. We're way up there at the top. They're in really good spots, but the more and more things are going on, Vince, I feel like, even should come down further and further, because more and more people are spotting onto them. The thing is, even when they eventually do pick a side this week, I think they do end up as being in the top position on whatever side they end up being. And I think they would even also end up with potential people they can work with still, like Jimmy, or potentially even Rachel over on the other side. Because while, they're really supportive on hey, we should keep Will, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to completely cut the game chats off 100% just because they disagreed on this vote. So I think while they are getting some heat right now, especially Vince, for all the stuff he's doing, I think he's still in a pretty good spot with a lot of people. I would even probably say he deserves maybe to be down by Morgan. I'll probably make that update here in a bit. But other than that, we then also have the kind of two distinct sides. And this is where you can also kind of see that Lauren really made a bit of an error by putting someone who's very much on her side of the board up on the block. Obviously, it's a lot harder to really judge this when you're in the house, but when you're just looking over the numbers of what could potentially go down this week, it really starts to make sense. So let's say we have a Will versus Adrian or Kelly. If it's either one of them, that's the situation that's probably the most interesting that could split the entire house. On one side, you're going to have Mickey, Rachel, Morgan, Jimmy, Ava, and Ashley all voting to keep Will. Those ones are pretty much locked in votes for Will. On the other side, you would then have Zach, Vince, either Adrian or Lauren, whoever would end up coming off the block, Keanu, Riley, and then Catherine's also a little bit of a mystery. I have her over on the other side because the girls don't like her, right? The girls on the other side of the house, Mickey, Rachel, Morgan, even Ashley, they are not fans of Catherine. But on the last vote, Catherine, or the last vote that even really needed decisions to be made, because everybody just voted out Amy, Catherine voted with the other side to vote out Zay. Will she actually go and listen to Riley, who would want to vote and keep Adrian or Kelly and vote out Will? Or would she potentially do her own thing? Another thing to think about in this is if Catherine does join them, that leads us to a 6-6 tie. That then makes Lauren the one who has to make the final decision once again on who should go. And we've already seen her struggle making any kind of a decision at all. So that could be a real problem. Let's talk about an Adrian and Kelly situation. This is the one where I honestly, it's a little harder to call, but I think would just end up being Kelly to go. I think there's more people that would want to work with Adrian than they would want to work with Kelly. Again, Kelly's kind of seen as a liar. In my mind, though, like a lot of times, like if you're one of those people just kind of riding the waves, right, kind of in the middle, you almost want to keep someone like Kelly because she'll always be up on the block as that big target, whereas you probably wouldn't be coming after somebody like you. If they're not coming after you and they're a big target, they might be good to keep in the game sometimes. But I do think overall it would end up being Kelly just because she does have wins under her belt already. They would probably want to see her go. But I think at the end, it's really going to come down to who wins the battle of the block between Adrian or Kelly, and potentially could it even be Will who pulls out that win, right? We can't count him out of a competition just yet. We haven't seen him, really performing that much in the competitions to really gauge, how well he will do in these. But he does have a shot, right? The puzzles that we've seen earlier on, I think Will would have a shot in for sure to potentially compete for those blockbusters. But one of the other things is they are actually losing the backyard today, very early in the week. They're going to be shutting down the backyard. They told them at 6 a.m. in the morning. So today they're losing the backyard. They will not have it all week long. That tends to mean there's some kind of a bigger build coming. A lot of them were speculating it could be the wall competition. It feels very early for the wall competition. That's usually something they save for like, hey, we all made jury. Now you guys got to go hang on a wall to see who really wants to be here. So I don't think it's that, but you never know. It could just be that there's very big builds that also include with the blockbuster competition, but they've been using that other side off-site competition space for that instead of the backyard. They've been using that for the HOH comps. So I don't know 100% why it is shut down for as long as it is, if it's not something big and elaborate and physical for the HOH comp this week. But that is something to keep in note as well. But that pretty much covers everything that went on yesterday. It was a lot that we just went over. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. What do you think of Lauren's decision? Was it the right call? Should she have put up Ashley? Should she have put up somebody else and maybe even in a bigger move? What do you think of the scenarios that we have right now? Who would you like to see win the blockbuster competition? And who do you think's most likely to leave this week? Let me know all those in the comments down below. Thank you again, guys, all so much for watching. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button. Hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Check out the links to all my socials in the pinned comment description down below. You should check out things like Twitter and Discord. Discord's a great place to chat about Big Brother. We've always got people chatting about the live feeds in there. But there's other channels as well, always talking about all kinds of different stuff. There's even a place to post pictures of your pets. Tons of conversations going on in there, so make sure you come on and join on over there. You can join and support the channel if you like. You can also support the Ori Fund, help support Oris everywhere. And also check out the new sponsor for Factor. You get 50% off your first order. So go on and give it a try. Try out Factor's meals. Thank you guys all again so much for watching, and I will see you next time.